Loaded up to go test some saws today, but first got to do a little bit of a repair on the car. Yeah, if you know what you're looking at, you know it ain't good. And if hopefully you can see that, but my car decided to eat a rotor, so I got pads and rotors to put on. Just gonna knock out the rear. That's not good that it's that slim. Kind of suspicious that there may be a problem with that caliper, because we go to the other side and like these are getting thin, but they definitely still have life left in them. That's compared to a new pad. And squeal tab is still on this one. It broke off of the pad over there. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all are all over the place. I'm not really prepared for this kind of video. I'll just take them out of the package. Well, and these are quite a bit thicker. So yeah, I'm just doing pads and rotors. I'll knock out the front later on in the week, but yep, if it ain't one thing, it's another. Probably most chainsaws ever been shoved in the back of a Hyundai. There it is off the car. I'll just blast some cleaner in the park and brake mechanism. Chewed up brake pad, what's left on. So that's why it got that bad. Somehow squealer tab broke off and never got to hear it. And it's not like it was recent. If it was recent, it wouldn't be dirty on the brake. Everything's all back together. One thing that's nice about these coated rotors is they don't come covered in like grease, whatever anti-corrosion film they spray on the non-coated ones. It takes 5 or 10 minutes to clean off. So you just throw these on and they're good to go. Supposedly that a coating aids in break-in, but I don't know. I think that's like a sales gimmick. I think that surface finish is how they bed in the pads. I think that's more important than the coating, but whatever. Now I can go get the car off the jacks, go test out some saws. This is the comparison between my 501, which is like, it's the first saw I ported, so a lot of the stuff in the cylinder isn't the way it's supposed to be, or really isn't the best situation for making power. But it's a good baseline because this thing, it runs good. I mean, it hangs with pretty much any stock, or outruns pretty much any stock 50cc saw, and hangs with some 60cc stockers too. So this is the baseline. We're gonna run it in a chunk of pecan and then swap the bar, because this is a good chain, to Juan's 4910, and then just see how it runs. chains. This is Juan's 4910. This is the one I put the post on. Real pretty transfers. Let's see what it is. It had to be faster because it was pulling pretty much 10.5 the whole time through there. My 501 is like mid 9s, low 10s, low 9s. It's all over the place. This one was pretty mean. Means I gotta buy a new cylinder for the 501. But this guy should be super happy with it. I'll throw in the MS360. I got a CS550. I'll throw that one in after this. Then the 360 and then the Science Experiment saw. It's got weird numbers in it. Those I could just run in and fire up because I don't have to swap out forest chains. Anything like that. Maybe. So this is a weird saw. It's 45 millimeter bore, but it's got the same stroke as the 4910 501 platform. It's on like a modified 590 chassis, and it's stratified with the Stratos feed through reeds. And it runs 325. You know, it's a big heavy saw that runs 325. But it don't run too bad. I mean, it should be faster than the other ones because it's 5 more cc, 10% bigger. You think it'd be 10% faster. The transfers are like real weird on this one too. Echo likes to do weird stuff with their transfers. Oh, and that one also had a box fresh chain. I think all of these are box fresh for the most part now. I mean, if I'm sharpening a chain, if it's as fast as a out of the box chain, I'm doing good. That don't happen often. That's a stock MS360 with a kind of wore out bar. And that's the science experiment saw. So it's like a 106 roof on the 590s long stroke. But both the transfers are timed at 130, and that's not really optimal for this situation, but it runs better than I thought it would. But it peak RPM in the cut is a little bit lower than where I'd like it to be. If you go too far, they get kind of peaky, where you're kind of, it's like that steel, that steel stock. If you lean on it at all, it wants to bog down. So I mean, it holds good RPM as long as you just let it eat. You don't force it. This one, you can, if you force it a little bit, it's not the end of the world. It just kind of runs down a little bit and then it perks back up. There it is. That probably concludes my saw testing day. Time to go get times at the house.
Here's the times on the test cuts today. The 501 was 28 seconds. Tune could have been a little bit off. Also, it just may not have the grunt that I thought it did at one time. The new build 4910 ran in 20 seconds. That's great. That's freaking awesome for a 50cc saw. The CS550 was 16 seconds. That's 55 cc's, but it's also like 5 pounds heavier. So I'd take the gap in time over having to carry an extra 5 pounds for not doing anything more. MS360, that's a stock 60cc steel saw, 24 seconds. So both of these Echoes that are smaller outran it, and then the 590 620 Science saw with chamber work and weird port timing numbers ran 14, and all those had out of the box Oregon EXL, other than the 4910 501. They're running LGX, I believe. But that's just to keep, certain variables out of this equation when we're trying to test stuff and see how it runs. This is notes on the saws, 501s, 28 seconds. Yeah, I'm going to be getting a new cylinder for that saw, so it's going to turn into something different. 4910, it's solid all around. It has good power throughout the RPM range. It revs to like 14.8 free rev, and it pulls like 10.8 to 11 in the cut. That's real good. 550, I think, also pulls to 10. It also revs to like 14.8, but it's a whole different animal. It's got a wider exhaust and higher transfers, so power should be peaking a little bit higher with the higher transfers. That is why I would say it ran faster. Its power peaks higher in RPM, and it's got higher peak power. It's also 5 cc's bigger. 360, it's got good chain speed. There's just nothing behind it. As soon as you lean on it, it just wants to, and that's it. That's how that saw acts, but it's bone stock. There's nothing done to it. This is a Science saw 590. It's got good power. It comes on too early in the RPM range and doesn't carry it out. So it's like peaking before it needs to. And, say it's, let's try and draw a picture. Say power comes on here, and then it carries it, but then it falls off pretty fast. I'd prefer it if it stretched out here power came on, peaked a little bit, and then died down. So I think it's going to need a higher exhaust roof, but I also believe that the transfers are going to need to come up quite a bit too. So I'll have my next rendition of porting set up for that, and a specific video about it. Here's notes on the 4910. That's stock timing numbers. That's what it is. 30 thousandths off the base and no gasket. That leaves you a 22,000 squish. This is what I wanted to hit: 77, 122, 127, 106. Hit 77 because you don't touch the intake. That would have stayed the same. 121 overshot it a little bit. 128 undershot it a little bit. 105 on the exhaust overshot it a little bit. And I want to say it was right there around 63% of bore width on the exhaust. You're limited by the skirt of the piston on the exhaust.